Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the field op. This is the makeup show for last week. As we move forward, as we're moving forward, everybody, just keep in mind, all I ask is that you're a little bit, semper gumby with me in regards to, the venues, how we produce this show. Nonetheless, hey, Baby Friday, I'm not gonna say it's Baby Friday upon us, Friday Night Eve, all that good stuff. Goddamn, is the weekend, because obviously, this is the makeup show. Nonetheless, hey, this show, we're here to provide information, help you grow, and obviously me being in the line of work of helping people and sharing information, I thought that this show would be important as well. uh, this show is also brought to you by the VA. The system is not perfect. I know you've heard me talk about it before in the past. However, if you learn the system and learn how to utilize it properly, you too can all reap the benefits of it. So, as the system has gotten better, which it has for the last couple of years, primarily the website and submitting a claim, it is, you also have to take it upon yourselves to be able to talk their language, so that way you maximize your benefits and get the best out of your claims. If you have any questions or need help or assistance, you can more than gladly reach out to me. I've done this in the past for other fellow veterans. So don't be, I do have a bunch of information that I actually can email it out to you, how to, that'll get you going in regards to your claim and benefits. So with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and hit me up at the show if you ever have any questions. Uh, Also, this show is brought to you by look, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the great American Constitution and all the freedoms that it provides for us. I mean, no other nation, and I've traveled around the world quite a bit, not just with my time in the Marine Corps, but also my off-duty time is one of the things that I do. And I am an immigrant myself, so I know what it's like to grow up somewhere where, there isn't, and I've seen places where it could be a lot worse. So while things may not be perfect, it is the best country to be in. So, what am I saying is that, hey, this show, we support the right to bear arms, freedom of speech. Whether we agree or disagree, that's okay. I mean, that's what makes us, pretty much in what separates us from every other country. Excuse me. So if you like what you hear, like, subscribe, and follow. Hit me up on, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we are on YouTube. We're even on TikTok. Yes, I've joined the 21st century, so we do put out a lot of content. And what I will say about our TikTok channel is that the whole purpose of it, it's not so much like here where we kind of talk about all kinds of different stuff, funny or serious or whatever. The whole purpose of that channel is to kind of disseminate information and administrative stuff that when you were in, you wanted to ask or didn't want to. And even me as a retired officer myself, I mean, I just play like I knew what I was talking about. But a lot of times, all that admin stuff, I've learned is over the years in post service. So my intent through that avenue or that channel is to basically share information and educate you as well as veterans and people who are still on active duty. So that's that. So make sure you check me out on all that stuff, and let's help each other out. So, and just a big shout out to Brian and his team for always helping out and helping me be where I'm here as well, and support the local podcaster. Brian Colburn is an amazing podcaster. He's got some awesome shows, and Aaron Sieber is one of them, and a fellow warrant officer from the Marine Corps that I spoke to yesterday. Shout out to Herman Milton. He's coming out with a show as well. So I'm looking forward to it. He'll be on our show here pretty soon. Okay, so let's get started. Look, uh, over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing, and I'll show you the form and everything. I mean, it's right here. And I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, this right here is it's an SBP survivor benefit plan withdrawal consent form. Now, I'm not completely withdrawing from the plan, so hear me out. Initially, how I started looking into this is when I was retiring from the Marine Corps. Uh, you go to the personnel office where as you're checking out, because all you want to do is just get the whether you yeah. So this is a program available for retirees. So when you're pretty much in your mindset like, hey, I need to GTFO out of town, you're I mean, let's be honest. We all just go through the process. There's a few of us that will actually ask questions and then understand, but the majority of us won't. I mean, let's be quite honest about that. Let me fix the lighting a little bit over here. So, what is survivor benefit plan? Now that I've been excuse me, in this industry quite a bit, I understand what some of these products are. Knowing now what I didn't know then, so I thought it was important for me to share it. So, and what is an annuity? An annuity is an insurance product. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. It is a product designed for people who are older. And in what sense is that it guarantees a payment or some type of monthly payment over a certain amount of years or over a lifetime once you start dipping into that money. A lot of the TSP isn't the thrift savings plan, believe it or not, it is an annuity. You put in monies for a certain amount of period while you're in the Marine Corps, and then once you retire, you can start, not once you retire, and not from the military, but once you reach retirement age, anything above 59 and a half, you can dip into that money and structure it in a way or start receiving income. And because for the last however many years you were participating in that program, your taxes were deferred. In other words, the IRS said, "Hey, we're not going to tax you on this right now. We're gonna allow you to let your tax payments be later, so that way the money grows without taxes. However, when you reach retirement age and you start dipping into this money on a monthly basis, taking a monthly payment, we're going to tax you at your income rate. So it's 20%, whatever the case, 20%. Now, if you draw that money out early and you use it for whatever it is, because you weren't 15, unless you have a life-changing event, and that could be had a death in the family, medical issues, or the medical issues of a loved one, which immediate loved one, child, wife, and such, or you want to buy a first-time home buyer up to $10,000, so you can withdraw that money, but you got to put it back. Okay, that's the caveat without any tax implications. So, but you got to put it back. If you take it out, then obviously it's 10% penalty from the IRS, and then at regular income rate, and it's going to be charged for that year. That also is going to count an income for that year on that tax year. Just some of the things that keep in mind. So if you have any further questions, you can research this yourself, and then hit me up, and we can talk a little bit further about it. So, all right, so it's an annuity is the bottom line. It's an insurance product. And so some state retirement plans also have these things, uh, you know, here in Florida retirement system. So teachers, firefighters, it could be the California retirement system, DOD. Again, these are all insurance plans. Yes, they are. So, and unlike the Marine Corps, on these plans, once you're vested and you put in the certain amount of years, you can opt in that, hey, this retirement plan is for myself and my husband or my wife or whatever your spouse, your significant other, and that you start getting an income once you decide, once, hey, I'm going to start taking I'm retirement age, I'm going to start taking payments of this. So that money is going to be in there. Now you could take an option where, hey, if I die, then that income keeps coming in for my spouse until they pass away and it's done. Or if you have a disabled child, in the family that, hey, if something happens to me, then my disabled child has some type of income for the rest of their life and whatever. So in the case of the Marine Corps or the military, as survivor benefit plan, it's not a product for yourself. It's for your loved one, your spouse. So I've been paying into this for the last 10 years. To participate in this program, you got to pay into this program for 30 years. Okay. So so you're paying and you're buying accumulation units is what they call it in the industry. Okay. So you're putting into this program for 30 years. So in my case, I retire around my 40, around 40. So by the time I'm in my 70s, then I'm fully vested and that money has grown. I did the math, it will be around $90,000. Okay. Currently I've put in about, something about $25,000, something like that. I did the math myself. I was doing it, hey, 12, I did, it's just an easy multiplication. How much you're putting in monthly times 12, then times the years, and it'll give you that figure. Easy calculate. Okay. So as I was looking into this, and then I called DFAS myself and I asked the question, hey, if I withdraw from this program, I've been paying into this for the last 10 years, what happens to that money? They're like, well, it's a you're buying into the program, you're paying into the program. So if you were to completely withdraw, you don't get that money back. The DOD keeps that money. Yes, they will keep that money. And I'm like, okay, and I even asked the representative, tell me this: a veteran that lives, let's say we have veterans out there who have, for whatever reason, they have something going, and they only depend on their retirement and whatever the VA compensates them to make ends meet. How is it fair that should they decide to opt out of this program, they don't get that money back? Well, sir, it's a pain. She kept repeating this over the phone. So bottom line, and at one point, it was just dead silence. So I pretty much knew I had her because this ain't fair. Now, the caveat to this is that make sure you do your own research and see what's the best option for you. Okay. Because some people's situation is completely different. So, so here's some other things that you need to know about the survivor benefit plan is that if you're 100% disabled from the VA and you're getting that, you can opt in to pause your payments into survivor benefit plan because there is a program called DIC. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. That way you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so as you can see right here, folks, uh, this is the survivor. Here's it's talking about the survivor benefit plan. I'm gonna go ahead and move this stuff out of the way. So the survivor benefit plan is, again, it's an annuity, as it says right there, as I mentioned. This is all on the DFAS page, everybody. Okay, so it is an annuity. You elect to participate in this program, generated at the time of retirement. Some situations will allow it. You can also opt out of the program. So after the first year, between the first year and the third year, so at the 2 year and 3 year mark, you can get out of it. And yes, but that money is pretty much gone. You're not going to get that back. And again, I mentioned this before. So you opt into this program. Should you decide to opt out and you're married, then your spouse also has to sign on that paperwork saying, "Hey, I understand that my husband or my wife is they're opting out of this program, so they have to consent on that as well. So keep that in mind. So you put it into this program, and the does not again the SBP election does not entitle the beneficiary named for again the beneficiary being your spouse. This is not for you. To arrears of pay, a separate AOP this has to be made in order to designate the desired individual. So again, you gotta make sure that you read all the and ask questions. Most of the time, I can tell you right now, those clerks, they have a certain amount of information. Hopefully they've gotten better. Again, it's been about 11 years since I retired. But I can tell you this, that individual didn't have that much information, didn't give me too much. Okay, so here's the other thing, if you decide, let's say you decide to changing or stopping your coverage. Again, this is all on the DFAS website. You can see right over here. is that, ending after retirement, and it'll tell you all that stuff. You'll be shocked and surprised as to, you know, what can happen. Again, if you're divorced, depending on your situation, your spouse can also be designated on SBP. Okay. There are other things. For example, if you go under combat related special compensation, CRSC, which is a program, and we can talk about that at another time on the field of how to enroll in that program and the benefits. But if you the member, the retiree, opt in for CRSC, then that completely removes your spouse or your, out of CRSC compensation, because it's no longer, your retirement is now 100% untaxable, and it's now considered disability. So we can talk about that too some other time. So if you remarry, so if you get a divorce, your new spouse can also, let's say you married twice and now you're gonna get a divorce. Your new spouse can also go after you SBP as well. Just keep that in mind. You have a child, and there's a lot of, yeah. You can also opt in to, cover them under this program. Again, if kind of like insurance, if there's a change in your lifestyle, okay, but you got to call, and like it says right here, within 1 year you got to call DFAS. You must notify DFAS or you just need to decline coverage for your newly acquired spouse within 1 year of the marriage. You do not need your spouse's consent. So again, you can, there's a lot of good information on here that you got to educate yourself. So if you're 100% as I was mentioning earlier, if you're 100% disabled from the VA and you're being compensated by them, you can actually pause your payment, uh, by you click on this. It's a withdrawal consent due to VA disability package, and this is what that form looks like right over here. So, and the form is pretty detailed. It'll tell you the due. Again, it'll give you a lot of good information. But one thing is that I want to point out is, why can you don't withdraw? You actually are pausing your payments because of DIC offset. So what is DIC? I will tell you that. That's called dependency and indemnity compensation. So what this means is that when you pass away, 9 times out of 10 is going to be because you're 100%. The VA is going to consider your death due to something service connected. So your spouse will actually be covered uh, under the dependency and indemnity compensation, like it says right here. So what it says is military service members who die in line of duty, or eligible survivors or veterans whose death resulted from a service-related injury or disease that benefits paid monthly. The DIC benefit may be increased by cost of living adjustments. Again, so it's pretty good. It'll keep up with inflation due to COLA. Okay. So what this means is that by you filling out this form, you're pausing your SBP participation. You can pause at that, and then that money is going to come back to you. What I highly recommend is that, that you do the math, which is really easy to do. You can find an investment calculator, or you can go on Google and, just be conservative. Say, hey, I was paying about $200 into this program, so you can query it. If I pay $200 a month for the next 20 years, let's say until the age of 65, for the next 20 years at a 9% interest rate, how much would I have at the age of 65? And you'll be surprised as to how much that you can make that money grow uh, in regards to you investing it somewhere else. So my whole point is that as I was doing the math, I was like, wait a minute, if I put in $90,000 by the time I'm in my 70s, and this is not a variable annuity, by the way. A variable annuity is another insurance product that varies with the market, so it somewhat keeps up with inflation. These are just fixed, so your spouse does not really, let's say, and this is for 55. By the way, this annuity is for 55% of your pay, which or which is not much. So if they're dependent, God for again, if who knows if Social Security is going to be around in the next couple of years? I mean, let's be real. That product was not designed to last this long. It was to help people right after the Great Depression because of all the stuff that happened with the stock market and people stealing money and all that stuff. So it wasn't designed to be around this long. Okay. If you don't believe me, do your research and educate yourself. Okay. So let's take in consideration that Social Security is not around. 55% of your pay, whatever that is, that's not much. So you gotta do. So if you have control of your money, in my case, is hey, I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna grab that money. I mean, I'm gonna be educated. No, actually, I'm gonna be disciplined and grab that money and put it in a vehicle that will give me much better return in this, whatever that may be, an IRA, a Roth IRA, a mutual fund, whatever, again, I am licensed in the industry. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out and I will educate you on it. So you can put that money in that and have control and put it in something that's going to give you a much better return. That if I need to dip into that money, I can do it. And that money is mine. I'm not going to give it to the DOD or Uncle Sam for them to keep. And by the way, I also asked, hey, what happens if my spouse die, if I survive my spouse and I've paid into this thing, I'm in my 70s, my spouse dies early. Now I have a beneficiary. What happens to that money? You're pretty much asked out is the bottom line. So they keep that money. Again, this program you opted in was for your surviving spouse. So if you outlive all these people, that money is gone. You don't have that, and you cannot dip into this money. So does that really make sense? Now, you just found out you're getting out of the service, you just retired, you're fine, you found out that you're terminally ill, you've participated into this about a year, and that person passes away. Does it make sense? Yes, because now that spouse, even though this individual, that service member participated into this program a year or two or three, whatever, now that spouse, that's right, has something for the rest of their lives, and that's good. In this case, yes, that is a good choice. However, in my opinion, if you're pretty healthy, you can do a lot more things with that money. Again, the keyword is being disciplined. You could do a lot more with that money and put it into something that's gonna do much better for you and give you much better. Again, you have in one scenario, DOD has control of your money. You're putting into this. You survive your spouse. They keep the money. Something happens. You wanna, you have a medical emergency, whatever. You cannot dip into this money. So again, by you filling out this form, so me being 100% service connected, I I am pausing payments into this because the VA is going to compensate my spouse, my wife, on this program. So I'm going to be disciplined and put in this money. Now, here's the other caveat. Let's say the VA, for whatever reason, decides to um, lower my rating from 100% permanent total to whatever. Then you have what this paperwork says right here. We're going to scroll down. Again, you got to read the entire paperwork. You have a year. It says in this line right here, it says if your rating is reduced, the coverage can be reinstated by you only if you request it within 1 year of the effective date of the reduction VA disability rating less than 100% total. Okay. If you do not request the coverage to be reinstated or your disability rating is never decreased, then the surviving spouse will be entitled to a refund. So what this is of premiums paid at the time of the member's death, and they will not be entitled to a monthly annuity payment under SBP. So let's say, two scenarios here. VA reduces you. You're no longer 100% total. You're something less. You have a year to call DFAS and say, hey, I had paused my SBP payments. I had filled out the form and I paused my payments, but the VA now lowered me. So I would like to continue participating in this program. So now you keep your money's paid in until the VA gets you back to 100%, and then you can opt out again, whatever. But in this case, you're opting in within that year window. so that way your spouse has something. Does that make sense? And you can do that, or you can just let it go, and and then uh you keep investing that money on your own, which is what I would recommend. What this also says in here is, if let's say if nothing happens, the VA never reduces you, then your spouse can go in here, can call DFAS and say, hey, my husband or my wife, um, had SBP, but I'm being compensated by DIC. All the premiums that they had put into it, I'd like to get them back. They're entitled to getting those premiums back, a one-time lump sum, and that is it. That is it. They just don't get the monthly payment uh, under as survivor benefit plan. Okay, does that make sense? If you have any questions, just hit me up and I'll explain even further. So they can't. That's the only way they can get that money back. Okay, is if you pass away, and then your spouse calls DFAS and say, hey, he was participating on SBP. I know he made 10 years worth of premium payments. I like to get that money back. So then they'll get that money back, and they just don't get SBP. VA will cover them. This is 100%. That is the only way to get that money that was in there. Pretty much it. If you opt out and you walk away from this whole thing, you're pretty much saying, hey, by the way, keep all that money. So at the end of the day, I just don't find, unless you have some extenuating circumstances as you're getting out of the service, it is a good thing to participate. Other than that, you could if you can find much better products out there that's going to give you much better returns, instead of, and that money that you or your spouse can actually touch and have. So, and here's the form right here. I'll scroll a little bit down. Uh, be very careful when you're filling this form out. If you're 100% permanent and total, then you just consent. You're going to fill out only part 1. You're consenting for VA disability rating. So DFAS is going to get with the VA and verify, yep, he's 100%, he or she are 100% permanent and total. And then they're going to go ahead, okay, he or she can pause their pay participation in SBP, because the VA is going to pick them up DIC. If you fill out part 2 and your spouse signs part 2, at the bottom of part 2, so if you fill out this form completely, you are basically completely opting out. So if you participating for the last 10 years, like in my case, it wouldn't be a good thing. Now, again, I'm just going to pause my payments, grab my money, and do something with it, and again, invest it, because I've been put into. I just don't want to. I want to ensure that at least she has that one lump sum payment. Should I ever pass away, and basically I'm not walking away from this money. So if you're kind of like that, that's what I would recommend. I also recommend that you call DFAS, their 1-800 number, which is at the front of the form, right over here, and verify that, hey, I faxed this form in. Is it good to go? Is it correct? And then get a name, or here's the phone number. I can tell you this: it's a pain in the ass to call them. Yeah, it's a bunch of numbers that you gotta press. Option 4, then option. If you're the retiree, press up until you get survivor benefit. Until you get it down to survivor benefit, then you can talk to an operator. I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna lie that the system is easy, and you can walk away from all that. You can navigate through when you call that number, but you gotta be savvy and talk their language, and have, like me. I did all my paperwork. I wrote a bunch of notes on it. I scanned it. My wife has a copy in case some shit happens to me. And it's, and I say, hey, I spoke to somebody over here, blah blah blah. So again, in document. And you don't have to keep paper copies, but you do have to have some, so that way you set your loved ones up for success, and prevent them, and have the right information and educate them. Because when somebody passes away, it's a shit show. Let's be real about it. And people's emotions and all that stuff are getting the way, and it's really hard to think. So preparing them and having them educated on, a call here, call there, let them know about this. This is a lump sum payment, blah blah. The easier you make it, you can actually put it on your iPhone, like your notes, or if you have a Samsung or an Android, Google Notes as well. You just put in, hey, in the event some call DFAS, report my death, ask them about my SBP participation lump sum, that pay arrears, and then call VA, notify them of my death. Again, those things are going to take, I'm telling you right now, for VA, DFAS, for them to pay out any type of arrears, pay, death, it's going to be a couple of months. So I highly recommend that you, and VGLI too, those are all group life insurance. You don't want to get me started on all that shit. What I'm saying is, have control over your money, have control over your finances, and have something that's your own. So instead of having those products, have a product that you can. So having a good policy from a different company outside of those, different ones, it will be highly recommended. Yes, I will say, hey, consider this company right here that I work for, and because within 10 days or less, they'll pay out a death claim, and it's the the payments are minimal compared to some of these products that increase your payments. That's, call it a selfless pitch right here of what I do. But I wouldn't be standing here or stand behind something as normally as a Marine, but also as a retired officer, something that will take advantage of our servicemen. That's just, uh, you know, that's just me. So, but and if you have any questions, you want education, hit me up. There's no commitments, no pressure, no nothing. I just want you to be empowered and educated, so that way your loved ones don't suffer at the end. Because you know that GoFundMe, Venmos, and all that other dumb shit that you see people posting at the end of the day is not a way to protect your family. And educate your loved ones, excuse me, on how to talk military language, especially with these entities that are, whether you're a retiree or you only serve, or you serve for a couple of terms, doesn't matter. Your loved ones are the ones who have to navigate through all this. Okay. So with that being said, everybody, I think this is a good place to end the show. As I usually end it, look, if you've been ruminating about, going into that rabbit hole, you've been having issues, as cliche as it sounds, that time frame will pass. So just do me a favor, stick through it, reach out to me, reach out to the show. There's military, military one source, TRICARE, suicide hotlines for the VA, or just the regular suicide. Just call somebody and just stick through it. The time will pass, because nobody here wants to speak at your eulogy unless you died of natural causes. Let's let's be honest. So with that being said, everybody, thanks so much for your time. Ice mask, Daisuke, and I'll see you next week. Yeah,